Hi everyone, it's FSketcher fashion drawing tutorials, and in this class we're going to render two looks from Balmain Pre-fall 2018 collection. It's going to take some time, but as you can see, results are really beautiful and will teach you a lot. So first I start drawing model number 1. So this is the first video dedicated totally to the first look. So I draw head at the angle and I divide it by 2, and this is the shape of the eyes. The lower line is curved and the upper one is flatter. And then I draw the eyelids a bit further. So, and the shape of the nose will differ a little bit from the standard. So I draw this stretched triangle and bean-like nostrils on the sides. So as you can see, I drew chin quite flat, so rectangular and flat. So next, under your nose, I'm drawing your lips, and the middle line, I made it a bit curved so I could open your mouth a little bit in the middle. So then I'm drawing your cheekbones between eyes and nose. And then, as you can see, here we have a bit flatter lower face, and her jaws a bit lower because she is lifting her head. So let's make it even flatter. And I'm drawing your eyebrows higher than usually. It's also because of the position of your head, and your ears are lower. So next I'm drawing your hair. We don't see that much of the top. That's why I'm just making it, the hair part on the top, a bit narrower than usually. So here is the shape of your spine, but this is a bit like 3/4 view. That's why it looks so curved, because this is a view from the side. And following that shape, I'm drawing your collarbones. They have a little bit different angles. The right one is more horizontal and the left one is at the angle. So, and then I'm drawing the chest. Pay attention that I made the chest narrower than her shoulders because we need that distance for the arms. I'm moving her breasts a bit to the right again because we're looking at her from the side. And let's draw her right side arm. It's quite parallel to her body, so upper half is almost vertical, and from her elbow it goes a bit to the side. Pay attention that the elbow part is wide. Between shoulders and elbow, the part of the arm is a bit becoming narrow in the center. So I usually first draw the palm and then I add fingers. So here is a position for your hands holding bag. So here is the one distance for the arms until the elbow. So your elbow is laying on one curve. So now I need to pick the point where if I add the rest of your arm, it will end so your hand is in the same position as on the reference image. So you can put the elbow at the back, you can put it closer to the body, but you should take into account that where should her palms be? Is she holding something? Is she putting it on her waistline? So next, I'm looking for the location of your knees. The right side knee is at the same level as right side shoulder, and the left one is approximately at the same level as your left side shoulder. So I changed this. It's not the same position as on the image. It's more relaxed. And then I just schematically showing your fit. So, and your left side ankle is a bit to the side from your elbow, so a bit to the left. And again, I'm drawing your feet schematically at this point. So let's start drawing your clothing. Before let's show which parts your hair is covering. Behind your neck, I'm starting drawing collar and then lapel, and they stretch until your hand. Your jacket is a bit further from your body because it's a bit thick. So, and pay attention to the wrinkles at your elbow. After that, after drawing, outline everything with a fine line pen. I use a fine liner with the nib 0.1. Showing your t-shirt and a lapel and collar on the other side. So I'm drawing your jacket a bit apart. So, and here it's more or less smooth sleeves. And I'm drawing your back. You see at the angle, the front rectangle, and on the left I'm showing the side of the back. And once I'm satisfied with the shapes of the items on her, I outline them. And then let's show your trousers. So they are PVC, patent leather. So, and outline your trousers, your shoes, fit, and then we'll be ready for rendering. So I'm working with a sketch that I already prepared, but here I want to show the way that I colored your face. First, I'm using tan pro marker. If you use some different markers, just pay attention to the color. So it's a bit darker reddish tone, skin tone. So and here are some shadows. And after that, I'm using satin, a bit lighter tone. And usually I don't let first marker dry, so they blend a little bit. And here I'm showing the iris. And eyelashes, I usually draw just a couple of them, like 5, 6. And with a purple pencil, I show some smaller details and stronger shadows, but don't overdo. Usually when I color, I touch very softly, so you cannot really see strokes. And some highlights with white ink gel pen. If you draw nostrils a bit apart, your nose won't be that sharp as in my example. So I want to reduce the size of your forehead, and then just color everything with a caramel or light brown. So here is my example that I shot before and then accidentally erased. So first I'm using blend and coloring your t-shirt with it. So it makes the surface wet. It's a transparent marker. And then I'm using some plum, mandarin colors, basically bright orange and purple colors. And I'm using them here and there because she has some cosmic explosion or just some cosmic environment on her t-shirt, and they're like orange, purple, violet, blue. So now I'm using Cool Gray 5. So the t-shirt is actually more at its base is black color, but before using black, let's use some gray because highlights of black look like gray. So in between, I'm just coloring with Cool Gray 5. More of a blender, so this marker can just a bit bleed all these hues, mix a little bit. Then more of Cool Gray 5. Ice gray on the top, but you can actually skip it because it doesn't give any difference. Cool Gray 5 on the top of the bright colors, just not everything, partially. So more of Cool Gray 5 in between. I think I can even use black. So next we will have a lot of shapes of the lightning. So I drew it, and then I'm drawing these rows of tiny red circles with red fine liner. And now I'm using some mulberry. You can use any like pink, purple, and using some Prussian blue and some true blue. Here it's it's about just taking all different blue colors, red colors that you have at your disposal. With black fine liner, I'm just separating those red circles. Using black, I'm coloring between those colored dots, and next I'm going to color parts of your t-shirt between those spots of color. So next I'm just gonna start with this Copic liquid, but it's drying, so I think I'm going to use just a correction pen. So just try not to push too hard so you don't get huge dots. I'm just making the rows of this glitter. So and the same here. So your jacket is very glittery. So I think in Moda Operandi it was costing like $25,000, and this is a lot of crystals and elaborate work. So here more of spots with white ink gel pen. They won't be that bright as correction pen. And okay, so here I'm just showing the color part of your t-shirt and some actually the print on the top of this. So there is this Balmain text, and it's also like Paris below. So, but it's not totally visible, so whenever you draw any text, take into account how is it positioned, like is it aligned in the center of the t-shirt, and if so, which part of it is hidden under the jacket. So here's some geometric shapes. So I'm adding a bit of correction pen because white ink gel pen is not that opaque and it looks like gray. So I'm coloring with a bit yellowy orange the bottom part, and with Cool Gray 5 I'm adding some shadows under the collar and lapel. So here she has some pocket and some lightning shapes as well in the middle. So I'm adding some Prussian and True Blue dots. Basically it's like a bit cold and darker blue plus warmer lighter blue, so whatever you have. And in between I'm just coloring with black. Be careful with your hair. So some dots on the top of blue. So I'm using Cool Gray 5 to color area behind your neck and just partially coloring your hair in general. So every time, just, don't overdo. Some long and different strokes, and then I'm using brown pencil. And as you can see, everywhere where it's a bit curved and elevated, I keep it light. And but your hair is, it's not that soft, it's a bit untidy look, so there are many locks and you cannot really say which part is shining. So more of the strokes, and I try to alter, I have dots and strokes to separate those lightning shapes and show shiny parts as well. And besides correction pen, I sometimes use white pen for smaller dots. So I separate this pocket part, I think it's a pocket, with black marker, then showing some details of your lapel. So I'm drawing some circles and lines on the jacket, like on all these correction pen parts, just to show the texture. Otherwise they just blend with each other. And then I'm using red and blue fine liners for your pocket. And on the top I'm making these dots, like in lines. And some shine on that black stripes. More of the textures. Well, when it's a line, sometimes I draw a line or a zigzagish line on the top. When they're dots, I draw just circles with a fine liner. So Cool Gray 5 for the lower part of your jacket. While it's drying, let's draw this again, like zigzagish lightning with a red fine liner, more of Prussian blue, and then some mulberry, you can use plum or mulberry, so some true blue. Here is the plum, it's a bit darker than mulberry, and here as well Cool Gray 5, and I feel like we need some black, so let's add black. It's going to give the contrast on the sides. I also try to apply it with dots especially where we have the dots, not to lose the texture. So a bit of blue on the top and then white dots with white ink gel pen. Especially when the marker is wet, this pen will blend with it. So here we have some like shapes, like straight triangles. And some extra details, like there's so many things on this jacket. More opaque white with correction pen, so it's super shining. And now we have some shapes over here. In my opinion, they look like plant cells under microscope. So maybe that's the inspiration. Maybe it's something reptile inspired. But here are the cells and something inside of it. So I'm drawing with a white ink gel pen because it's thinner. And between, so inside, I add some black for the contrast. And with white ink gel pen, I'm just adding some details, more shadows with Cool Gray 5. Again, starting from tan for the skin and then satin. So next, just if you feel like you need some extra white or black, you can do it. So next I'm just dealing with the other part of your hair. So here I make it darker, since hair is curved to inside. When hair is curved to outside, that is where we have highlights, right? So, and a little bit of black for super shadows. And I want to add a little bit of white ink gel pen because I feel that my highlights are not strong enough. And taking into account that your hair look a bit messy, some greasiness won't hurt that much, because usually white ink gel pen gives a wax effect. So, but that's fine. So I'm using Cool Gray 5. And I'm going to work fast with the second part of the jacket because it's very similar. It's just almost the same thing. But when we draw, there is no thing like the same thing. So just try to work in the same nature, I would say. So in the same manner, I'm working with adding all this glitter, and somewhere I add some lines between those glitter. So now we're working with your bag. So here are some details in black. Then I'm using Warm Gray 4 and adding some shadows. And then with Warm Gray 3, I'm coloring this part of your bag. And the rest is colored with black marker. The rest I'm coloring with Cool Gray 5. I'm adding a little bit of cornflower, which is light blue. Just want to add that reflection. So next I'm drawing many tiny corners like this to give this a bit reptile-ish texture. Showing some metal details, and these metal corners, I'm just coloring them with warm gray 4. And I'm drawing the same tiny corners with the whiting gel pen. And as you can see, there is this stripe of highlights. And there are some highlights on the metal details and on the thread line, on the sides, here as well on the sides, and on those corners. So adding some black pencil, because black pencil is actually darker than black marker. Some highlights on the belt. I added some diagonal strokes with just regular pencil. Extra highlights, and then I'm coloring your hand first with tan. Okay, and with cool gray 5 I'm adding shadows. First, color your trousers with ice gray 3. So we need some light gray as the base. You can color with some lavender, light purple, or cool gray if you don't have ice gray 3. So satin, finishing your hand. And then I'm using black. And now I'm going to leave some highlights. And in case of PVC trousers, it's going to be something like snake shaped, like a zigzaggish, curved, very, like it's always the same thing. Or some tiny spots, like as you can see on your knee, and I will add some at the bottom. And I darkened those shapes, and as you can see, I'm leaving on both legs, I'm leaving sides uncolored, especially like sides from the right in this case, and in the previous one from the left. So next I'm using correction pen, and I'm going on the top of those parts, and with white ink gel pen I can draw some thinner highlights. And on the other leg. So these trousers have a thread line in the center, that's why we have these visible highlights in the center, even though they are not that tight. So I started from tan and finished with satin on her legs, and colored her shoes with black, and on the tips I added some light gray. I'm adding some purple on the white. I like the reflection with some extra color. And on the tips of her heels, nose parts, I added some cool gray 5. So we're almost done with this sketch. Just tiny extra things, some shadows with purple on her skin, and next we will add shadows with black on her clothing. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you actually did follow it and tried to draw this sketch. Please share your questions and suggestions in the comment section. Subscribe to FSketcher channel, support it on Patreon for exclusive content, and see you next tutorial.